Okay, perfect.
Go for it, please.
So good afternoon, everyone. We are going to present today Othello. This is the literary review of the play.
Okay, so to start with the presentation, I'm going to talk about the author background. So Shakespeare was an English poet, dramatist, and actor, often called the English national poet and considered by many to be the greatest dramatist of all times. He was born in 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon. His birthday is celebrated on 23rd of April, which is also considered to be the date he died in 1616. As we learned last class, Shakespeare was a writer during the Elizabethan and Jacobean ages of British theatre. His plays are perhaps his most enduring legacy, but they are not all he wrote. His poems also remain popular to this day, and altogether, Shakespeare's works include 38 plays, 2 narrative poems, 154 sonnets, and a variety of other poems. According to the characters, the type of characters he wrote about people who seemed real instead of using stock characters. And by stock characters, I mean that those are the stereotypical fictional person or type of person. And that was common in the theater during this period. This literary device allowed him to make characters like Macbeth or Hamlet sympathetic, even though they did some terrible things throughout the play. Shakespeare's legacy is as rich and diverse as his work, and as we saw, he brought his iambic pentameter verses which use a natural rhythm of the English language. His plays have had an enduring presence on stage and film, and until now, William Shakespeare continues to be one of the most important literary figures of the English language. You can continue with the next. Okay. So according to the characters, the main character is Othello. He's a Moorish African general in the Venetian army. He's an eloquent storyteller who is respected but often treated as an outsider. He is intelligent and confident in military matters, but socially insecure. Then the second character is Desdemona. She's a lady of spirit and intelligence, for all the claims of military straightforwardness of some other characters. She's the most direct and honest speaker in the play. Her speeches are not as lengthy as those of men, but with Desdemona every word counts. She falls in love with Othello, amazed by his stories of life, and she defends her secret marriage to her father when he finds out. But her father disowns her, and she follows her husband on his campaign to Cyprus. The third character is Iago. He is an ensign, which is a standard bearer. Claims he's seeking revenge on Othello for promoting Cassio instead of him, but his evil manipulative actions have no justification. He's obsessed for control and power over others, And in order to destroy Othello, he must also destroy Roderigo, Emilia, Desdemona, and ultimately himself. The fourth character is Michael Cassio. He is a young, charming, and handsome soldier whom Othello promotes to the rank of lieutenant over the more experienced Iago. Cassio is loyal to Othello and friendly with Desdemona. The fifth character is Emilia. She is perceptive and cynical, maybe as a result of her relationship. She is Iago's wife and a handmaiden and friend to Desdemona. Although Iago regularly mistreats and humiliates her, she is loyal to him, and he convinces her to steal Desdemona's handkerchief. She doesn't know anything about Iago's plot. In fact, when she realizes it, she reveals to Iago and he kills her for it. The final character is Roderigo. He's a Venetian young man in the play who is used as a primary instrument by Iago. Unlike Emilia, who feels obliged to Iago for being her wife, Roderigo voluntarily becomes part of Iago's plot in a hope to fulfill his own dream, which is to marry Desdemona.
Referring to the plot of this play, Othello is the story of a noble military general who, because of mistakes of judgment, destroys his relationship and himself. The play is about a military romance which takes place in the Mediterranean Sea. Nevertheless, the story ends in a horrible scene in Othello's bedroom where he kills his innocent wife before killing himself. The play suggests that strong emotions like jealousy make shatter a person, blocking the ability to think clearly and act properly. It also represents the contrast between the military context, where Othello shows himself very confident, and the domestic space where he is insecure and manipulated. The conflict of the play starts when Othello chooses Cassio as a lieutenant, which made Iago feel aside and not able to be in the highest military position. Moreover, Iago felt that Cassio did not deserve this position, so he was mad. He was mad at Othello for choosing Cassio over him. In addition to this, Iago also felt that Cassio and Othello were sleeping with his wife. At this point of the story, the audience may sympathize with Iago, considering that they haven't seen Othello yet, and Iago gives reasons for being mad. The suspense of the story rises when the audience sees Othello and realizes that Iago's plan was crazy. The love story between Othello and Desdemona and how she disobeys her father to be with Othello makes the audience to take Othello's side. Iago, as a liar character, contrasts with the other characters of the play. He convinces Cassio to fight with Roderigo and Othello to fire Cassio because of this. Iago is a manipulator and cynical person in this play. And an important fact to consider is, unlike many Shakespearean stories where the protagonist confronts the antagonist in the climax, in this play, Othello takes Iago's side, calling him his new lieutenant. And Othello even believed when Iago told him that Desdemona was sleeping with Cassio, which wasn't true. However, Othello didn't believe his wife Desdemona and became the second antagonist of the play. After this, um, Iago suggested Othello to kill Desdemona. In the same bed, she allegedly slept with Cassio. Othello agreed, but first he and Iago conspired to kill Cassio and planned to murder Desdemona. Unfortunately, only after he kills Desdemona, he realized she was innocent, so he decided to kill himself instead of living in a world where honor and honesty have no value. You can change the slide, Fernanda.
Okay, now I'm going to present the setting and sociocultural background. Okay, the setting of this story is Venice, the famous Italian city in Act 1. But then in the rest of the story is Cyprus, an island that is in the Mediterranean Sea, colonized by the Venetians at that time. Okay, and the time period in which this story takes place would be around the 50s and the 1750s. The social cultural background, if we talk about Othello, would be African since he's recognizing the story as the Moor. But if we take a look at the whole context of the play, we will see that the set was during the late 16th century. And this was a time period which held many customs and beliefs different than the ones that we hold today. Wait for me in there. Okay. Next, as I mentioned before, the setting of the story would be in Venice in Act 1, and then, but moreover, the historical period would be anywhere between the 50s through the 1750s in the context, and the context is around the time of war between Venice and Turkey. Okay, now we are going to move on to the literary devices.
Okay, so the first literary device that we found was allusion, which is an implied or indirect reference to a person, event, or thing. So in Act 3, Scene 3, line 442, it is said that as Dian's visage. This was said by Othello, and he is making reference to the goddess of chastity. Then in Act 4, Scene 2, line 106, it is said that have the office opposite to Saint Peter. Here, this phrase was said by Othello, and he's referencing to hell because that is where Desdemona will go because she was unfaithful to him.
Okay. Metaphor. In Act 3, Scene 3, line 40, no, 441 and 445 was basically saying that Desdemona's reputation was as white as snow. And in Act 4, Scene 1, line 75, a horned man's a monster and a beast. Okay, this is a metaphor because Othello says that because of Desdemona's unfaithfulness, it has turned his personality into something like a beast.
Well, the other figure of speech that we found in this play is simile. This figure of speech compares one thing with another of a different kind, and the purpose is to make a description more vivid. In Othello's story, there is a simile in Act 1 when Iago says, "The food that to him is as luscious as locusts." Here, he compares the taste of food to the delicious taste of locusts.
Okay, themes. We found three different things. The first one is military heroism and love. Okay, first of all, Othello is a soldier, and his career affects his married life. More needed Othello's fair warrior, and is happiest when he has survived his and in our society through his marriage to Desdemona, so all Venetians respect and honor him as a soldier. Furthermore, Othello predicates his success in love on his success as a soldier, seeing Desdemona with tales of his military travels and. Okay, I can say that Othello depends on his identity as a soldier to glorify himself in the memory and to try to make his audience forget his and Desdemona horrible marital experiment. The second theme is the danger of isolation, because isolation enables many of the play's most important effects. For instance, Iago frequently speaks in soliloquies. Moreover, Roderigo seems attached to no one in the play except Iago, and most prominently, Othello is visible isolated from the other characters by his physical stature and the color of his skin. Moreover, Iago is an expert at manipulating the distance between characters, isolating his victims so that they fall prey to their own obsessions. At the same time, Iago, of necessity, always is standing apart. And the last theme is jealousy. And jealousy motivates the central conflicts of Othello, Iago's resentment of Othello, and Othello's suspicion of Desdemona. Iago is immediately revealed as a jealous character in the first scene. He complains that Cassio has been promoted instead of him, even though he also later implies that his hatred of Othello is rooted in jealousy, since there are rumors of Othello having slept with Emilia. Furthermore, Iago seems that his jealousy is so intense that he does not need proof of this infidelity before punishing Othello for it.
According to the symbols that we found that can be found in this play, it is used a lot of symbolism from the linen, as well as strawberries embroidered on the handkerchief, and the symbolic use of the number 3 in order to provide meaning for the play. In this play, the use of the handkerchief is central to the play and provides the reader insight on the action of Othello, as well as the social climate. While the play focuses on the relationship between Othello and Desdemona, for example, like trust in one's partner, love, and the feeling of betrayal and loss, the play also shows more covert aspects of society. Here we have the linen cloth. As I mentioned before, it serves as a multitude of different symbolic meanings, including Christianity. The use of the number 3, it is a manner to show the downfall of Othello. The willow song, which represents to Desdemona acceptance of her husband disowning her, and the candle that Othello plays out before he kills Desdemona represents Desdemona's fragile body and life that can be taken away from the world. You can change it.
According to the tone of Othello, is characterized by cynicism and suspicion. Iago shows his cynicism
Yes, I
in
changed it. It's in tone.
Iago shows his cynicism in the opening acts of the play, and his cynical philosophy of life does not make him feel bad for his actions. In fact, he made Othello take his side, persuading him to say suspicious comments that echo Iago's cynical attitudes. Iago also transformed Othello in a misogyny, just like him. This can be seen when Othello insulted his wife in her face because he was told that she was sleeping with Cassio, his best friend. This produced paranoia to Othello that led to jealousy, which made him feel confused because he did not know what to think about this situation. Othello was a reasonable, well-spoken character at first, but unfortunately it ended up being confused and paranoid. So this was our presentation. I hope you liked it, and if you have any question, please ask.
This is the end of my presentation. I hope the information was clear.
Doesn't seem to be a question so far. I don't think there's a question, but can't hear anyone here.
I the presentation, but it's related to the final plot at the end regarding the Iago argued because she realized that Iago was the one that challenged. I couldn't remember about the where I heard the name Desdemona, and I heard it and remember that it says it was a fictional name. That's how I associated with, but it was really shocking knowing sometimes we can bring this to the reality. And I don't know if you have the same idea, or you can relate with a situation in the real life.
Daniel, I think, I don't know if I have connection problems, but I couldn't hear you well. I mean, I didn't get your question. I'm sorry.
The question is if you can relate what happened in the end of the this Othello play. Can you relate it to a situation in real life? Do you think that this could be nowadays?
Of course, yes, I think that it is. Well, it is happening all the time when we can watch the news, and there is uh, a woman dead because a man killed her because he was jealous, or because he thought on something, and he just killed the woman for that. That is something that it is still happening, and it's very sad that even though there are plenty of years of difference, this is a problem in today's society.
Yes, that was the point. How it's possible that after those years, nowadays, that's still happening. That's something that caught my attention about this.
Yes, and also I read something that it is according to the linen cloth, that if we think about it, it was a symbolism about the role of women also, because women should do the laundry and everything, and that was a women work, and men didn't do anything with that. Like, women were supposed to clean and have everything like clean.
Just I have any comment.
Pero como dice Kafka, existe un punto de partida, y con eso no.
Hola, Jeanette.
Bien. Janet, hola, gusto.
It's so great that we're laughing. Como eso.
Colegas, ¿les parece comenzamos? ¿O hay alguien ahí que, no sé, Stephanie, Eva y Pedro, no sé si alguien que esté en el proceso de comunicarse?
Yo creo que faltan algunas personas.
Ah, ya, Pedro, estás con...
Somos 20.
Thank you for the presentation. I don't know if you can hear me, because I've been having issues with, I'm connected with my cell phone to the meeting.
I think everybody. I think it's a Teams problem, because I've been having problems too.
Yeah, Yeah, the same thing. I'm having issues
Yes,
with
I have
the
problems.
audio. You too. Too
Yeah.
bad. The idea in general, I perceive that through these presentations or reports, if you're not familiar with the play, you may ask questions connected with well, anything that might not have been clear enough through the report, or you can go specifically to find out about the relationship between characters, the setting in which the play took place. Anything that you consider to be interesting for you to know if you are not familiar with it. Sometimes it's easier to ask questions if you're not familiar, because you have many things that you don't know that you would like to learn about. Okay, so and I don't know if there's anything else that the group considers to be relevant to inform the class that was not said, particularly because maybe, being nervous, or maybe trying to crush all the information, or squeeze all information into the specific number of minutes that you prepared it. Now you're ready you forgot to say it before. Is there anything that you would like to cover or say after some minutes that you didn't say before?
Maybe that the images from the play that are in the presentation are taken from plays that have been done not too many years ago, because according to what we saw last class, there were not women in the plays, so there were only men. That could be a detail.
All right. All right. Any further questions? Because I think the play or the report needs to sink in. I guess you need to review some of your notes. Try to take a look at Othello from a different perspective through a website maybe, or watching the play, because eventually we're going to have a comparison between Othello and Hamlet, which are the two Shakespearean plays that we're going to discuss, or that are going to be presented as reports. So I want you all to have a clear idea about the themes, characters, story, and their connection with anything historical in Othello, and also what's going to happen later with Hamlet. So you're able to compare these two and have an idea about in which way they are similar, or in which way they are different. Okay, so I would like you, the whole class, not the presenters, because the presenters are already familiar, right, with the main topics dealt with in Othello. To take a look at the play, maybe watch it. YouTube, you can find websites, you can find videos. And I think so that next class we're having the Hamlet report, and then after the presentation is done, we can make a comparison between those two Shakespearean plays. Okay, so I would like you to take a moment to find resources on Hamlet and Othello, so that the conversation flows. Next session on it's going to be on Tuesday, I believe.
Professor?
Yes, ma'am.
There was another detail that Fernanda is telling us. It is that there were not a narrator in this play. That was another detail that she wants to mention. But her internet connection is making it impossible.
Right. It's a good point. It's a very good point. I'm going to upload two forums. One that will have to do with the Canterbury Tales, and another one that's going to have to do with the Shakespearean plays. Please take a moment to visit the forum on Canterbury Tales, and but bear in mind that there's going to be another on Shakespearean plays, specifically Othello and Hamlet. So after the the report on Hamlet is done, you'll have to address a question. So keep in mind this report and the next one, the coming one on the Tuesday session. Okay, so I want you to take a moment. We're going to end the session now, but I want you to take at least 10 minutes to go online and find resources on Othello, to take your notes and to compare, and have this in mind, because at some point you will use them when you get into the forum about Shakespearean plays, or not Shakespearean plays, but about Hamlet and Othello. Okay, and so pay attention to the forum on the Canterbury Tales. It's going to be open for about a week, starting tomorrow. Okay.
Yes, Professor. But we could understand that with the internet problems. But yes.
I will post the instructions in the LMS, and I will send a message, so you will get the information through the LMS in the form of a message, so everyone can read it after you receive it, because at points connectivity breaks down. Yeah, it's not that easy to hear the instructions. I think it's easier to read them, and then you let me know if you have questions. All right.
Yes, Professor.
Alrighty. Thank you for the player report. Thank you very much. And I really am looking forward to the second report on Hamlet, because it's going to be a very interesting conversation when we start, drawing all these conclusions between these two plays. I will see you on Tuesday. Goodbye,
Professor?
everyone.
Professor?
Yes, ma'am. I'm listening.
Can I talk to you for a second?
Absolutely.
Okay. The thing is that I sent you an email trying to book my second book report, but I just find out that I was into my email, and the email didn't send. It was sent back. So I wanted to tell you which book I'll be doing for the third week of the book reports.
Go ahead, please, because I didn't receive anything, but I'm going to update the syllabus with the literary work that you're going to tell me now. So shoot again,
Yes.
please.
It's The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde for the last week of the last weeks of books reports. It's with Jocelyn and Camila Quesada.
Okay, Jocelyn, Camila, Marina.
And Marina, yes, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Strange Case, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Okay, got you here.
Okay,
excellent.
Thank you, Professor.
No problem.
Professor?
Yes, sir?
Yeah, Javier and I, we talked about giving the book report of Frankenstein.
Frankenstein, all right.
Yeah, for you to...
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me allow me. Okay, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Frankenstein, which is also, it's like it's like right there after the Romantic period. in the early Victorian period. Frankenstein. Okay. And it's going to be you, Daniel, Javier, and
Javier, yes.
okay. Got you
Yeah.
here. All right, I got you all.
It's not.
Okay. Good. I'm going to update this, and we're all good. We can have 1, 2, 3, 4 book reports during the Victorian period, and they are quite concentrated. It's going to be a very concentrated week. And okay, we're all good. Pride and Prejudice, The Victory of Dorian Gray, A Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and Frankenstein. Okay, excellent. I got it all here. Thank you so much.
Okay. You're welcome.
All right, guys, any other questions?
No, Professor. Have a nice afternoon.
All right,
Happy
thank
Teacher's
you.
Day.
Thank you. You
Have a
too.
nice afternoon.
Goodbye,
Stay
everyone.
safe.
Any questions?
Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye. Any
Bye,
questions, let me know, right?
Professor.
Bye-bye.